everybody. Will here with this week's interview chair. In the chair this week is my very dear friend, Mr. David Gignac. So I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Hi, everybody. Will here. Today on the interview chair, we have my buddy, David Gignac. How are you, David?
I'm very well.
Did I say your name right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I didn't want to Gignac.
Gignac. No.
I've been taught that years ago. It's okay. So you guys are good out there on the West Coast?
We are.
It must be really sunny because look at you. Look how white and pale I look and look how tanned you are.
I work hard at it.
And I'm still in a turtleneck, for Christ's sake. We have a storm here. Like it's been snowing on and off. And it's freezing.
Well, I just came back from Camrose and it was freezing there too. So
okay, how'd you do?
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well, yeah.
Very good. Good to hear. All right, let us begin. The very first question, David, is I want to know how you got started in our sport of dogs and how old you were when you started in the sport of dogs.
Well, it was 1967. And I believe I was 9. I might have been 8, but I think I was 9.
2.
Thanks, Will. Anyways, my father had worked for a beagle kennel when he was young. And he always wanted to get a dog. My mother was terrified of dogs, just terrified. And I remember it came down to a choice between a miniature schnauzer and a basset hound.
Oh.
So off we all went to the Canadian Save the Children's Fund at some college in Ottawa.
That's a dog show.
Right?
The dog show.
Walking around looking for miniature schnauzers and basset hounds. And my mother stopped dead in her tracks. She heard this noise. And she couldn't figure out what the noise was. Anyways, she turned around. She saw this woman grooming this small white dog. And she had this charm bracelet on her wrist that had probably 100 charms on it. So with every motion of brushing, it just made this incredibly loud noise. And my mother just looked at the dog and
that was
there you go. That was it. Westies became our life.
Who was the lady with the charm bracelet?
Mrs. Daniel Jenkins.
Yay!
Yeah. And so probably, I think about a year later, we got our first one. 2 years later, we got our second one. Both from Mrs. DJ, and off we went.
So that's not the end, though, David. We have to know all the stuff. You're not getting off that easy. So your first dog show.
First dog show I recall was a sanctioned match in Brockville, and the judge was Bob Boxma.
Oh wow, Bobby Boxma. Yeah.
And I think we got a rosette. I don't know what it was for, but we got a rosette. And at that time, in our family, I was third in line of the children. So my older brother got to show the dog. My older sister got to show the dog. And by the time the dog got to me, it was so exhausted, like there was no showing it. So I had to be patient and wait my turn until we got another dog, and then I could get to go in. And the first juniors I went in was under Hilda Pugh. That was my first juniors.
Yeah. And?
I think I won. I wore a dentist shirt too. High collar, zipped up in the back. Yeah, I think it was a dentist.
Morley mustn't have been there with a Scotty then. So if you're
right.
Oops. So did you start showing the family's dogs then? Did people realize did your parents realize you had a knack for it?
Yeah. And back then it was, people didn't have a lot of money. And so each year they would pick one of us and we would get a special trip. So I remember my sister got to go to Westminster. And I think she showed our first dog and got reserve winners, which to us, that was like,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
huge. I forget where my brother went. I got to go to the International Kennel Club in Chicago in 1972, and I showed a brace of our first two Westies and went best brace in show under Johnny Murphy.
I think I've seen that picture.
Who is Desi's uncle?
Yeah,
uncle, I believe. Yeah, yeah. And they also had a junior dog judging contest for 4-H kids, which I entered, and I won that too.
Were you a 4-H kid, or you just
No.
So you stole that.
Ottawa Junior Kennel Club.
Oh.
Ottawa Junior Kennel Club. Yeah.
I attended that. I wasn't a member, but I used to show at the Ottawa Juniors. That was sort of like our finals back then. So, sort of.
For us, because I'm much older than you, our finals was always at Scarborough Kennel Club.
Oh, yeah. Mine were Scarborough as well. But I remember that it used to be a big deal to show us shows weekend.
Right. Yep.
The juniors.
Yeah. But ours was Scarborough Kennel Club, and the overall prize was a watch.
Yeah, I won the watch.
Which to us was huge. We thought, like, wow.
Luke, now I'm confused. Because one year I won and one year Luke won. And did Luke get a watch or did I get the watch and he got a bike? I think I got the bike and he got the watch. we always argue about that. Well, at least I got a watch. Your bike is long gone. Right?
my younger sister won it under Lorna Jackson 1 year. Yeah. And I won it under John McNichol 1 year.
Oh, John McNichol.
Yeah.
My favorites growing up, John.
Yeah. So we each got a watch. We were happy.
So you competed in juniors.
Oh, yeah.
And then what happened after juniors?
Well, we lived in Ottawa at the time. And we moved out to British Columbia. My father was transferred with his job in the government in 1979. And I showed a few dogs for other people. And I think everybody always asks, I worked for every handler I could possibly work for, like when I lived even in Ontario.
Who was your first one?
The first one was Malcolm Fellows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Malcolm Fellows. And the first dog that I actually showed, even before a Westie, was a Beagle. That was one of his. Her name was Sarah. Anyways.
Malcolm is actually the judge that gave me best junior handler at the Ottawa finals. Ottawa thing at Show.
Oh, was he? Yeah, he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy. And then I didn't see him for years and years and years. And of course, I got to know him through Mrs. Daniel Jenkins because he showed her daughter's Westie at the time.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, Malcolm Fellows won Best in Show in 1975 or 74?
5, I want to say.
I want to say 5 too. Westminster with Sir Lancelot of Barvan, Oldie was a cute dog.
Yeah.
So little sidekick there. Sorry, David.
And then I worked for a while for Luke Wellow.
Oh.
And anybody that would take me on. Back then, Gary and Elaine. Brian and Judy, like Carol Hollins, Martha Covington Thorne, you name it. Like,
oh wow,
yeah.
How was it working for Luke?
Garrett was the one from the east that I stayed with the longest.
Yeah.
He was an amazing man.
Oh, for sure he was. Yeah.
And then I spent one summer with Peter Green in the States. What else did I remember? Mark George, I spent his summer with. Yeah.
And then in BC, did you work for Susan?
I did. When I came to BC, I worked for Taffy was her main assistant, and then I worked underneath Taff. for a number of years with Susan. Yeah. Yeah. That was a great experience.
Oh, I'm sure. What a lineup that was with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, tell us what it was like working for Susan. And it was Susan Hillman, everybody. If you don't know who Susan Hillman is, she was the lady of our dog shows in Canada for sure. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I like to describe her as I was in Bermuda one time, and Mrs. Clark was there, and someone asked her who Susan Hillman was, and she said, if you took me and bred me to Janie, you'd get Susan Hillman.
Okay, that's good. Yep. Susan was amazing. She just had a way with dogs. And everybody would always say, oh, Susan, she said, butter would not melt in her mouth. And I thought, but just wait till after 11 o'clock at night in the trailer. And it would. But she was great. She was absolutely, she was phenomenal. Yeah.
How long were you with Susan?
Oh, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
If my failing memory serves me right, I think about 5 or 6 years.
So she was your longest one. She was the longest person.
Yeah.
Now, before we carry on, I want to ask you, up to that point, who would have been your main mentors in the sport? Who would have guided you at that point?
I have to say, when we first got in dogs, one of the first people that our family did meet was Jim Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And he always would tell us stories, and of course through him then got to know like Betty Hislop, and hung around at dog shows with Tom Bradley and Celeste Hutton, one of Betty's dear friends that had wolfhounds. It was an amazing learning experience.
Oh, I'm sure.
And you just like sat back, kept your mouth shut, and just took it all in. It was amazing. I'm so glad I grew up when I did in dogs.
For sure.
Because there were just so many amazing people. There's amazing people now, absolutely, but it was an amazing time. Absolutely.
I agree. It was a different time, and to me, they were all on such a pedestal that it was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like like I say, you know what? Shut up and listen. Don't open your mouth. One year, later on, but 1 year, I remember in Montreal, I went to a show, and United Kennel Club, and Frank Sabella was on the panel, and Harold Butler had some people over for dinner, and there was Harold, there was Sue Rempel, Linda Torrance, I was there, Ed Gravely and his wife Lise, and then Bill Taylor and Frank Sabella. And the rest of us just sat back and let those two just go at it. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It was, I'll never forget that night. It was like, just sit back, shut up, and listen.
So you were with Susan for about 5 years, you think. How old were you when you left Susan?
Oh, I would have been in my later 20s, I think. Yeah.
Which is unheard of now, for an apprentice to just be that long with a handler,
Right. Yeah. And I think how I kind of, I went off into my showing on my own. And I think everybody always says, well, where did you learn to groom? Where did and I think in my own breed, Westies, I watched my father, and every night before a night before a dog show, he'd throw the dog up on the table. He wouldn't touch it all week long. Right. And then for 4 hours, rip hair out of it, and then wonder why it didn't want to show the next day in the ring. Right. And I thought, I think there's got to be a better way. So I just not to sound egotistical or anything, but I think I was sort of self-taught.
Yeah.
I just picked it up on my own. Yes, I learned things from Peter, but Westies were not his favorite thing. He was more into the longer-legged terriers, right?
Yeah.
But he's a genius at everything. But I think I was kind of basically taught.
Yeah, I can see that because I was sort of the same way, but I think I stole things from different people.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. Like I, pick up things from Mark, from Peter, from Birgit, and just watching. I think that's missing a lot today. I don't think there's enough watching.
Oh, exactly.
Like everybody, it's our instant society, right?
Well, Adam used to annoy me trying to watch me all the time. So you are on your own now. Explain that to me. When did you and Pat meet?
Oh, Pat and I met, I want to say it was almost as soon as I moved to BC.
Okay.
Because she was a friend of Susan's and Taffy's. And, she would travel to some shows with them. And I used to think, God, that girl's funny. And anyway.
She still is.
Right? One thing led to another. And here we are 34 years later.
Wow.
But it was through the dog shows and basically probably Susan and Taffy. Yeah.
So when you went on your own, was Pat part of the equation at that point? Like, were you a team?
Not initially, because we weren't like together. When I went out on my own, and one of the first dogs when I did go out on my own was Tom and June Fraser were campaigning Whitebriar Geronimo, who, for me at the time and still, is one of the all-time greats in the breed. I mean, stunning dog. Anyways, Tom had to work, and he couldn't get to a show, and they asked me if I would show the dog, and of course I was, what? And so I did, and I think the first time I showed him, I think I even lost the breed. I was devastated, and I remember Tommy saying, "Well, let us know how much we owe you." And I said, "What?" I said, "I didn't win." I don't think like that anymore. No. At the time, and it was Geronimo, so
yeah.
And then just more and more people just started coming to me, and one of our first clients was actually a toy poodle club.
Which is the first, like, besides Geronimo, because obviously he sticks out in your mind because of his presence in the breed or his magnitude of the breed. Who is the first primary dog you got where you started to do some winning with?
That would be a dog that was bred and owned by Linda Carmichael. His name was Windacre Man for All Seasons. And he was a Geronimo's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He gave me my first win on the Montgomery County weekend. He was a lovely dog. He ended up going over to Finland, I believe, for a while, helped the breed out there, and then came back. But yeah, no, he was probably my first big winner. Yeah. He had a number of best in shows, and like I say, he was reserve at Montgomery, and he was like best of winners at Hatboro and Devon, and yeah.
Maybe your first taste, that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
Who was next? What was next? What was next on the agenda on the David Gignac list?
My next big winner would have been a dog that was owned by Madeline Cronby, and his name was Cloudcroft's Mulberry Punch.
Okay.
And we used to call him Rogue.
Yeah, I remember that dog very well. Yep.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Was he top terrier?
He was top terrier 1 year, and I think number 6 all breeds. I think that, he was my first launching into like the top 10.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was a beautiful dog.
Madeline just lived down the road from me. I remember that.
He did, yes. Yeah. He was a good dog.
Was your next dog her bitch then, or was there someone?
She would have followed Mulberry's Miss Merriweather. Yeah, that would have, and she was the one that led to my Michelle Billings poster and cassette.
You want to tell a story? You tell that story.
I mean, it's just I campaigned Merriweather, and she ended up top terrier. And Michelle Billings had given her, I think definitely one, but I think she gave her 2 best in shows that year. anyways, we went to the top dog dinner, and I just thought I was going to go up and, give my little thank you very much and, accept the ribbon and that. And then William here had arranged with Michelle Billings to have a recorded message to me and Meriwether and a life-size cardboard cutout.
I'm surprised she's not there with you right now.
I should have her here with me. I still have her. She sits downstairs beside my trimming mirror. Dust her off once a week.
That was so much fun.
It was fun. And I was like so shocked. Yeah, that would have been Miss Meriwether, yeah.
You thought it was just me up there talking to you. You got Michelle Billings, though.
Right.
A recorded message. I remember calling her because I said, I'm going to record this. Can you do a thing or an awards presentation for David and Meriwether? Of course I can, William.
Oh, it was great. I even carried her through security at the airport.
And it was life. Actually, it's bigger than life size. Her head is bigger than our head, isn't it?
Right?
Oh, that was funny.
It was good.
And who was next after Meriwether?
Oh.
When did the Kerry come along? What year was that?
Oh, the Kerry Blue Dog, Ballymoon's Flint Tango. What was the year of the CKC Centennial?
Was it 87 or 88?
88?
89, maybe 89.
I honestly can't remember.
Yeah, I know.
The video of Best in Show has been showing up on Facebook lately.
I know.
I don't like to see that.
Yeah, you and your little tuxedo. Uh-oh.
Hang on.
Oh, there she is. Yeah, her head's bigger than our heads, but she was bigger than life anyway. Is that you, Patricia?
It was.
All right, back to the Centennial.
Okay, yeah. So that would have been the year of. Well, maybe he was my first top terrier. That's right.
That's why. Yeah. You know what? I thought that. So
yeah, he was the first dog that I was top terrier with. Yeah. Great big open side gate. I think he was kind of ahead of his time in that area. I don't think at that time. I don't think people really focused in on that. Showmanship back then was not given the emphasis that it is today.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost too much today, but.
But I vaguely remember when he was a striking dog going around the ring. There's no question.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he was your first top terrier then.
Yeah, he was my first top terrier, and then Rogie would have been after that. Yeah. Because Rogie was the early 90s. I think he was 92.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was 92.
Because it was the Centennial was either 89 or 90. I can't quite remember. So.
Yeah.
So after Meriwether, then what came along then? Well, first of all, when did you unpack at Mary? We skipped right over that.
Years ago.
That just said 100 years ago.
You're being prompted now. These pretzels are making me thirsty.
This year will be our 34th wedding anniversary.
Oh wow!
In June, yeah.
Well, I've had a few of those. I'm just in that. Never mind. So okay, what was after Meriwether? I'm sorry, we got off track.
Oh, I should have wrote this all down before.
I know this, and this is good. This is like digging up. You made me answer questions.
My failing memory. After Meriwether, gosh, there was a sort of a period of several that did well, but not,
not top terrier.
Yeah, they did well. They were like multiple best in show dogs, and I think they placed in the top 10 terriers. But nobody that really really caught on. I don't think. No.
Well, then who was the next big one?
On a blank
You know
here.
where I'm trying to steer you. I'm just waiting for you to answer it.
I know. See, I'm jumping ahead in my mind. I'm jumping ahead to JD, right?
Right. I want to know the story of JD. How that all
okay.
But I
had a beautiful bitch called Rose.
Yeah, I remember Rose.
Yeah, I don't think she was top terrier, though. I think she ended up number 2. Had a beautiful bitch named Zoom, who was they were before JD. JD came along in.
Explain who JD is for everybody in case they don't know.
He is New Zealand, American, Canadian Grand Champion, Whitebriar jaw dropper.
So isn't it incredible that you started off with the Whitebriar dog and that was the thrill of your life, and then your next really big winner was the Whitebriar dog. Yeah.
Right. And Maureen Murphy of Whitebriar to me is like the queen of everything Westie.
Me too. I just love Maureen.
Yeah. I just have so much respect for her. She is so smart. Because she worked for the original Whitebriar in England. And then when Mrs. Beer passed away, Maureen, the government told her she had to return to New Zealand. And so she scooped up Whitebriar dogs, left for New Zealand. And as they became older and weren't in the breeding program anymore, she would go around the world and bring dogs in from all over. And yet she never faltered from that Whitebriar type, which to me is genius. I have so much respect for it.
That's an amazing story.
It is. I just that's very, they're not, like JD did not have a Whitebriar sire or a Whitebriar dam. Still carried the Whitebriar name because Maureen bred him. Right? But she's just so clever to combine all these dogs and yet maintain that, which is my favorite type. The Whitebriar type.
Classic type.
It's just, I had been that 2012, I started off, and Westies are not always great show dogs. They're a bit stubborn. I've been spoiled. And I think I started that year.
I don't think they think that it's you're spoiled. I think it's because you're the Westie guy. You get this out of them. So I don't think it's that you're spoiled.
But 2012, I started off, and I think by the time I hit April, I'd gone through like 3 dogs that just didn't want to do it. And I had spent time, in 2009 at our Westie Centennial in the States with Maureen and Vanessa Edwards, for JD's co-breeder and co-owner. And they had been keeping me in the back of mind for a special dog, in the back of their minds for a special dog. And JD came along. I, like I said, was trying to find a dog that was going to catch on. And they sent me a picture of this dog and said, "What do you think of this dog?" And I'm like, "When can it get here?" I put it on the next plane. The picture was stunning, like absolutely beautiful. And so then, the wheels were put in motion to try and get him over here. And so finally the time arrived. There was an issue with bees of all things. So it was his bees. Yeah. His coming over here was kept being delayed because of bees and the shipment of bees on New Zealand Air. Just like, get this dog here. I want this dog. And anyways, so finally the day came that JD arrived, and I thought, I'm going to take one of our older bitches with us to the airport, right? Because he doesn't know us. Got like a 15-hour flight. And I said, the first thing he will see is another Westie. He'll be happy. So that worked out fine, right? He was glad to see her and everything, and walked him around, put him in the car, drove home. And we were leaving right away, like within an hour, to go to a show in the States. And Got home, I threw him in the backyard and packed up some stuff, looked in the backyard, and poor dog was sitting there in the middle of the backyard, tail down, shivering, like, and I said to Pat, maybe this wasn't a good idea. So anyways, I went out there and scooped him up, put him in the truck, and off we went to the dog show. And got to the dog show, set up the pens, put a couple of the other dogs out, put him out. He looked around and boom, up went the tail and never looked back.
Yeah, I'm not a
never looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
had he been obviously he'd been shown them in New Zealand because he was a New Zealand champion.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want the end of the story to be never look back. I want to know the story. I want to know like the highlights of JD, because there was a million. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was the ride of a lifetime. The first day I showed him, he went group third, and I thought, I thought that wasn't the debut I had imagined, but that's okay. Next day he went best in show, so he finished. He finished with the best in show from the classes, and then he, it's corny to say, but he never looked back.
Yeah.
How many
did he end up winning? How many best shows?
He had 120 Canadian best in shows and one in the US.
But he also had a couple of specialties that were pretty significant as well.
He won Great Western twice.
I've been a prod you long.
He won the breed at Crufts and made the short list in the group. He won a bunch of specialties, breed specialties in the state.
Yeah.
He was my dog of a lifetime.
Well, I know how important Great Western is to you, so I know that was something. So
yeah, and at the time, he was, there was some pretty competitive lineups.
Sure. I remember the pictures. And
there was always you and Miss P in there. Right? You were always there with Miss P.
Yeah. Well,
but he ended up his first year, he won 18 best in shows his first year and ended up number 1 terrier and I think number 5 all breeds, and he was top dog. And I shouldn't say it wasn't my goal, because it actually top dog was my goal. I just thought I thought if I can't do it with this dog, I'll never do it. Like I believed in him that much, and we went at it, and he led right from the beginning.
Yeah.
He just.
So how many best shows did he win that year? The year he was number 1 dog.
75.
75. Wow.
75, and so then the next year, I thought, wow, he's just 3.
Yeah.
But he was top dog. So it was like, do we go? Do we not? So then we decided, let's just go to 100. So, and that was a really fun weekend, because it just happened that Maureen and Vanessa were over here visiting. They had planned a trip, and they had taken the Rocky Mountaineer train through the Rockies down into Vancouver, and then they went over to the island, and that just happened to be the show that he got his 100th under Mike Macbeth, Terrier Woman. And she also had given him a best in show before that, which broke the world best in show record for West.
Oh, wow. Which was what? What was the world before JD?
It was Round Town Ivan the Terror that George Ford used to show. Yeah. And he had 82 best in shows.
Wow.
And so Mike broke the record in Lethbridge, and then she also gave him his 100th. And Heidi Gervais she knew we were closing in on it, and she had 100 red, white, and blue balloons in her truck for like a couple of weeks, waiting for him to break the. Yeah,
that's great.
It was an amazing dog.
Yeah, and you went on to he ended up with 120, so you weren't done. So
right, and then so once he hit 100, then we were like, do we really want to try for the Canadian record of best in shows? And so we thought, okay, let's go for it.
Oh yeah, that close. Right on.
And then everybody thought, oh, he's going to try and go for top dog again, which was never was our goal, was not to go for top dog again. But I think he ended up number 3 that year.
But he wasn't showing full time, so.
Well, he pretty much, and as soon as he broke the record, boom, then that was it. And that was in Belleville under Martin Doherty.
Oh, yay, Martin.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's hard to put that kind of dog away, though, isn't it? Because you love showing them so much, and you love seeing them in the ring so much that it's hard. Even though you've accomplished everything you really need to accomplish, he doesn't have to prove it to anybody.
Right.
But it's hard. It's hard. I know what it's like. The feeling putting some dog like that away is like, oh, I don't get to show you again.
Right. And it's like, now what?
Oh yeah.
What comes after that?
It's hard. It's hard.
Somebody always said to me, oh, it might even have been you. I'm not sure. But said, well, the year after you go top dog, you got to be prepared. You got a lot of thirds.
Yeah, you be scrambling for a fourth. Yep, that's what I've always said that. Yeah.
So I thought, oh, okay, and yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, it just seems like they were tired of pointing at you at that point. So.
Right. Yeah. No, he was a good dog. He was a good dog.
No, he's the greatest winning dog in history right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, having the great Westie.
Yes.
Yeah, but you've had great ones since then too. So
I've been so blessed. Yeah.
So so it's so difficult. Did you go right back with a Westie after JD? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, because I always thought maybe I should try another breed. Just for a while. We've had great success with Bichons, Bouviers, like a host of different breeds. But, it's what I know.
Well,
right?
it's what you're the Westie guy. So.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's what I know.
Well, I'm telling you are, David.
So, and then along came, we had a dog from Germany, Blitz.
Yeah, I remember.
And Blitz did really well. He had I think 18 best in shows. And then after Blitz was, I think it was Mr. Bates.
Oh.
Who was a JD son.
So was Blitz the first dog you showed for Lindy Barrow then? Did she have something to do with Blitz?
No, the first one that I campaigned for Lindy was a bitch called Dinah.
Oh, okay. Did she have something to do with Blitz or no? I thought she did.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She owned Blitz over here in Canada.
Yeah. And so you guys have had a good relationship for quite a while now. So.
Oh yeah. We've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And she actually she bought a bitch from us who was out of my Rose, who had done a lot of winning. And her name was Lindy's bitch's name was Kendra, and she was not her foundation bitch, but one of her early ones that she, started with the actual breeding and showing. She was a good bitch. She won sweeps at the American National, and she did well. And she gave her a lot of good puppies.
Well, it's interesting to think though that because your first Westie you did well with was Madeline's. Well, Madeline and Lindy used to somewhat chum together when I lived down the road. Lindy and her mom got their first Westie from Madeline. Yeah, that's interesting little sidebar. So you had Blitz. Then what came after Blitz? Who came after Blitz?
Would have been Mr. Bates.
Yeah,
and he ended up top terrier. Blitz ended up number 2 terrier, I believe.
He liked to do it himself.
Yeah. Yes. They called him the master a lot.
Sorry.
He did very well. He didn't always love to show. That was not his most favorite thing, but He always did what I asked him to do, and he did very well. He was a good dog. He was a good dog. And then after Bates would have been Opie.
Mm-hmm.
And Opie ended up being the second top winning Westie as far as best in shows go in Canada, behind JD.
What did he end up with?
And he ended up with 53.
Oh, it's a good number.
Yeah, he was number 2 terriers first year, and then top terrier second year, and both years ended up number 3 all breeds. And I always found it interesting. The one year that he was number 3, number 1 was Connie with her Kerry Blue Terrier. And to me, because terriers are the smallest group, terriers and hounds are usually the smallest group, that 2 dogs in that group could end up so high in the standings. I always find that very interesting because, I mean, like I say, terriers, right? You have to win twice as much to try and keep up to most of the other groups,
right? So for the 2 of you to win that many best in shows,
I always found that really interesting. And last year as well with Haley and their Wire, and then Atari doing so well.
Yeah. What's Atari at now? He must be getting up there too for best in shows.
He just won 2 this past weekend again. He's up to 18, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, 18. Yeah. He's an amazing dog.
You and the Westies. You and those Westies. I'm glad I didn't choose that breed.
But I know. That's what I know. Little white dogs.
So let's go back then. So as a professional handler now, what other mentors have influenced you up to this point?
There's been so many. Like when we were first
them all, but just some highlights.
Right. But it's like when we were first contacted to show a Bichon by Ann Yoakum years and years and years ago. I'd never trimmed a Bichon before. I thought, what the hell do I do? But we knew Elaine Mitchell, and we flew Elaine out from Edmonton to here in BC, and spent a whole weekend just grooming Bichons, bathing them, the right way to bathe them, the right way to dry them, the right way to scissor them, to comb them, to do everything with them, just so I could learn it. And our first one, he, up until recently, the record was broken, but he held the record for the most best for a Bichon for, oh my God, like probably 25 years.
What was his name again? I'm sorry.
Wendar Fly the Flag. Pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another dog that I think he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was a prominent dog for sure.
Over here. Yeah. Big open side gate, like huge open side.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did really well.
So you're saying Elaine was one of your mentors then?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just, it's with each new breed, you go to who you think is the best, right? And
sure.
Right? I mean, how many? I've watched you years and years and years trimming those Irish setters, right?
Yeah. And you taught me how to iron.
And I did teach you how to iron. That's right. Besties and ironing. There you go.
we both had hair back then. So, if someone wanted to be a handler, right, a youngster came up to you, what advice would you give them to be a handler? What would you be? How would you direct them, or try to point them?
Keep quiet. Listen. Watch.
I thought you were talking to me for a second. Like, okay, I will.
And it's not, get an education, because it's not an easy life. It's not an easy life. Get an education, in case you have to fall back on it. It's a big responsibility too.
Oh, for sure.
You gotta, and the winning is minimal. I mean, like it's you gotta know how to look after the dogs. You gotta make sure your vehicle's in good shape. There's so many things other than the 2 minutes you spend in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, the winning is,
yeah.
A lot of people say, they're a handler, their job is to win. That's not the job.
No.
That's not the job. That's, you can't control the point of the finger. The job is to do the best job you can with that dog that day.
Yeah.
That's the job. To look after it, to make sure it's cared for, and that you can present it to the best of your ability. To me, that's the job.
For sure.
It's not winning. It's not winning.
Is Patricia still there?
He's wandering back and forth.
Yeah. I was curious about her answer, but I'd probably be the same.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, I would think it would be. I was just curious. So again, what about judging? I mean, do you have that in your sights at all? I know you love judging.
Huh?
I know you like judging.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. Let's just that for
you look scared there for a second.
I've done a number of sweeps assignments. The first sweeps assignment I ever did for the Canadian National Club years ago. And Luke Eric used to show for a number of people, but in particular, Harriet Sherman sadly just passed away.
I didn't know that.
And we were always competitors. And I used to always tease him that, I would spend hours getting my dog ready, and he'd be busy with Shih Tzus, so he'd do like the 30-second Westie and go in and beat me.
I think we all called it the 3-minute Westie back then.
And so when I went to do the sweeps at my first sweeps assignment at the National and Terrier Breeders, when it used to be in the old Don Mills Arena, and in walks Luke, and I think he could tell by the look on my face that I was not really liking what was coming in the ring. And he just walked in, he plunked his dog on the table, and he said, "I'll bet you've never been so glad to see me in your life." And he did end up winning.
That's hilarious.
But I've done sweeps for the American National Club at Montgomery, which was a great assignment. I do. I love judging. Am I going to be a judge? I don't know. I don't know, because I think you have to you can't do this, right? So although now that I have a job at the hospital, my COVID job.
And you still breed Westies. You could show your own Westies.
Well, I don't actually breed them.
You're not breeding anymore?
No. I would like to. Yeah, I would like to if I could find a nice bitch. Yeah, I would like to. But not currently. It's just we're always gone, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. But you're open then to being a judge at some point. Then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think we need you. So the sport needs you, likes of you, to be out there judging. So.
Well, I found out recently that my name was put on the ballot for Montgomery for 2025, which, it has to go to a vote, but still, just to be on the ballot.
Oh, that's an honor, yeah, and I hope
huge honor, yeah.
There's nobody more deserving than you.
I don't know about that, but
well, you're always downplaying yourself. I think you deserve it.
Well, thank you.
You've always been. I've always thought that. Because you're a great Westie guy, obviously, but I think you could do that with any breed you wanted to if you really wanted to. I think you have that in you. So, because every time you take a different breed, be it Bichon, be it Carrie, you always excel. So I even see you excel in my breed. So,
I'll never forget. I'll never forget the year we were campaigning an Irish setter, and he was 11 years old. Who campaigns an 11-year-old Irish setter? Anyways, he was number one Irish setter all year long, and we went into the owner said, "Well, should he go to Credit Valley?" And I said, "Well, he's number one Irish setter." I said, maybe Will could catch him if he won Best in Show all 3 days at Credit Valley. I said, but I don't think that's going to happen, and it did. Number 2 Irish setter.
I'm sorry.
I
really liked him.
He was a fun dog.
Yeah.
He was a fun dog.
So
we've had lots of fun dogs.
yeah, we've had lots of fun times too.
Right?
Well, for sure. Okay, one last question for you then. Your eyes just got bigger for a second.
Right.
If you could meet the 20-year-old David, is there any advice you'd give him now?
Oh, yes. Keep your mouth shut and listen.
Yeah. It's true. It's amazing how many people answer that. That's their answer. Yeah. It takes us that long to figure it out. Oh, I should have shut up.
Yeah, because there's so many wiser people out there.
Yeah.
But like I said before, I'm so glad I grew up in dogs when I did, and around the people that I did. Because
I know it's a scary thing to say, but I think we grew up in probably the most influential time in the sport. I hate to say, I know that's everybody probably thinks that, but you think about all the players that we grew up watching.
Right. Yeah.
It really is amazing.
I remember as a little kid when we were first in dogs, it was Ravenna Kennel Club in the States, and I didn't know who she was at the time, but I was fascinated by this big gray dog that she had, Pat Trotter, and it was Vin Melka's Vagabond. And I was at Ravenna and I followed her around all day long. I would not leave because I was just fascinated by this dog.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't know who she was, but I learned.
It's amazing how dogs like that grab us. It's happened over the years. And it's not just the breed, it's the dog. It's the individual dog. It's almost like you can tell that they know they're better than the rest, and it comes out. Yeah. You get to see it. So
yeah, I had one small journey into smooth fox terriers when I was young, and got a bitch from Mrs. Farrell, who Bob and Jane showed for.
Yep.
And Bob and Jane were always so nice to me when I took her down to be bred and had puppies, and they were so nice to me. It's just met a lot of great people. I remember Jane showing Legend of Gale. Dogs that you'll never forget.
Oh, for sure.
And the Holly Hills Desert Wind, the Afghan, just amazing dog.
Yeah, I have photographs of Jane. I think probably before I even knew who she was, and it was pictures of her and George in the ring showing our setters against each other. And it's amazing to look back now. When you look at them in the ring, and it's not just those two. There's Tommy Glass and just Bobby Barlow. They're all in there, and that was the bloody breed.
Bobby Barlow with Slippery Hill Hudson, the Basset Hound, that was, Yeah, and I remember who I also used to watch a lot was David Hiltz with Starbucks Hang 'em High.
Hang 'em High, yeah.
Right? Amazing dogs.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, David. I'll let you get back to your work, whatever you're doing today, or Patricia.
Back to the hospital.
Okay. Not back to sitting in the back and tanning or anything like that.
Well, I'll do that before. You know that.
I do. Well, it was great catching up. I guess I'll see you in a few weeks. And
you will.
Thanks again, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
See, David? Painless. Like I told you. Well, thanks for that interview. If you like what you see here, make sure you press the like, share, and subscribe button. And don't forget, if you want to get a hold of me, get a hold of me at dogshowtips@gmail.com. Or if you want to find out what's happening in Will's world, go to willalexander.net. And don't forget about the Dog Show Drive every Thursday with Wayne Kavanaugh and myself. Take care, guys. Till next time.